Everybody,
Fashionably late. How y'all doing?
look, it's fashionably late, but it's for a good reason. It's for a good reason. I want to we want to see if we can actually get connected on Instagram. So we're gonna see if that works. You know, so we're trying to get right.
Let us know how the sound is.
Yep. You can see that we're live on Facebook now.
What's power? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Where y'all at?
Where the folks at? Where the folks at?
Well, y'all know the demo. You know, we usually take the first few minutes to kind of get everybody in the stream and whatnot.
Get them acclimated.
You know.
Yep.
What's power? What's power? What's on y'all mind? Where the men at? This was literally a call out to the men.
Exactly
Y'all better show up.
on life.
Don't let the ladies outdo you tonight.
Right.
Because I know it's going to be a couple of them that show up anyway.
Can't have all that.
What the hell? Let's go. What's up?
I'm not compelling Mac player, assessing of different flavors, lost and open issues and problems like in the coppers pay.
Trying to see this.
I feel like the layers, see what's inside. I really could admit that sometimes I just want to die. That I can fall to anger at times when I want to cry.
For those curious, this that new NeRo AnGeLo, 28.
Yes, sir.
My grandparents lose a piece of mind when they old. I've had to turn my back on the one that consider bros, and I get the best assurance from people I barely know.
Let's see. It's on.
Maybe that's life.
Maybe it just needs a couple minutes.
What's power? What's power? Where y'all at? Where the folks be?
For real. Let's go.
Don't leave us hanging because we still gonna do the stream regardless. So
Right. We just like to have y'all involved.
facts.
See, we got somebody on Twitch.
What's up? Welcome
up?
in.
Let us know who you are. What do you think of
Yes.
the topic?
If there's a man, if this is a man, share to your other fellow brothers, please.
Yes, indeed.
You guys, share this. We want to talk with the men tonight. The women can join the conversation too. Don't get it twisted.
Yep. Perspectivizing is important. So
There might be some insight that y'all can gain from this as well.
Exactly.
We can learn a little bit of something from everybody. And we're going to do one of these with the women as well.
Yep. Hopefully we can have some ladies present for it as well.
There will be one way or another, bro. If we can't get them in person, we'll get them on the cam. So what's up? We might even try to get some call-ins. Try that tonight. Let's try that tonight.
We could possibly try that. Yeah.
I'm down for that.
I kind of know a little bit more about it than I did. So yeah, we might be all right in that.
Early nights, late mornings, and tiny yawning. Contradiction, addiction, study often.
All right, we got one person on. It might be me just checking, but
What's power? What's power? How do we sound? Do we sound good?
Right. We do need to know that.
Is the music too loud? Let us know something, please and thank you.
Right.
Isn't required. You got to deal with supply. Fuck your feelings. I know preaching man be mad at a curse. I'm trying to stop and do better. But mama wild in that hurt. And I get angry in intervals where I cannot rehearse. But I'm
What is power?
What's poppin', bro? What's poppin'?
September is gonna be jam-packed, y'all. If you don't know, you about to find out.
Mm-hmm. 'Tis upon us.
What's tonight's topic? The importance of brotherly love.
Yes.
Or brotherhood in this case.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, whoever's tuned in to us, please share
Let us know
this.
who you are. Yeah. Because we want to say what's up. We want to greet you properly.
Especially if you are of the male persuasion
Yes, sir.
or identity, however you view that.
Right.
Said I'm running for my life, but I'm running out of steam. Night terrors, paranoia, bad replacement for my dreams. Can't rely on reality, I need something else to cling. Do I really love myself if I don't have no self-esteem? Do I really love myself?
All right, we got two people in here. Hey, if y'all love the male persuasion, and even if you're not, please share this with some men. We want to talk to the men tonight.
Absolutely.
Y'all love being quiet in the comment section and in the videos.
This is the time for y'all to speak up.
Bring gas.
That's what we're here to tell you. That's what we're here to tell you.
Ladies, you can also get something from this conversation, so please don't tune out just because of that.
Right.
We love y'all, and y'all love to support us. So definitely, even if you don't want to be in this discussion tonight,
even if you just want to listen,
share it with your male friends, please.
Right. Most that.
We want to talk to some men tonight.
Right.
We got to do that.
I'm not seeing it on here yet.
More money, but got less patience. Bills never stop, nothing keep paid up.
Less.
Short temper, Lord knows it's in my nature. I'm working on my game. But every now and then to find a reason to live, and desperately attempt to keep it under control. Bullet out like a weapon the moment to get distressed, and there's somebody there ever forgetting me.
What's going on?
What's good? What's good?
I
wonder if it's something.
Instagram going?
I don't see it yet. Hold on.
Shout out to the two people in here. Hey, please share this, especially with of the male persuasion.
Absolutely.
Ladies, you can tune into the stream tonight for show. This is going to be a more male-centered live stream tonight. There may be gems in here for you, though, too. And we will run this back with the ladies, so don't fret.
I'm about to say it's just IGTV. Maybe it's that.
Gotta play the game like say. Got better than I got more haters.
By the way, the music playing in the background is brand new. NeRo, AnGeLo, 28.
Yes, sir.
Just dropped. Is it available on all platforms, sir?
Yeah.
It's available on all platforms where you listen to music.
Yep. So, I mean, wherever you want to check it out, man, feel free. Feel free. Also, feel free to drop any critique you want about the music, what you like, what you don't like. We like to hear your voice.
Facts. Bro, how's your week been? You know we near the end of the week. I've been meaning to ask you. How's it been for you over there?
It's been pretty good. Just been pretty busy. Getting acclimated to this new job and everything like that. Let me see. Which one is the same? But you know.
Cool. How?
Figuring out life, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. Let me see if I can get this in.
Where are the men? Where y'all at?
Where are the brothers? We are curious to see you.
And this ain't a racially ambiguous conversation tonight neither. No matter whether you white, black, Puerto Rican, Chinese, this is a male. This is a man's conversation tonight.
Absolutely.
Women, you can definitely watch and or share with other men you know. We want to talk about the importance of brotherly love, also known as brotherhood.
Right.
The community of connections amongst men. How you and your guys operate. How y'all move.
Right.
As a squad, posse, whatever term you use to describe you and your homies.
Right.
That's what we talking about tonight. Bro code, whatever, all of that. Let's go.
Yep.
Y'all been hiding for too long. Let's talk. Let's talk some real men shit.
Yes, indeed. Real man-ish, man. trying to see if we can get up on Instagram.
We're gonna be starting the discussion here in a little bit.
Yep.
I hope we ain't just got two of y'all.
Right.
And if y'all both just happen to be ladies, or at least one of y'all ladies, share this with dudes you know.
Right. Your man, your bros, whoever, you know.
Yep.
For real.
Well, we welcome all ages too, by the way.
Absolutely.
Anybody that can provide something constructive to the conversation.
Main reason being is because it's different perspectives. And we like that. We like different perspectives happening.
And I hit them with the wall. Y'all hear this, NeRo? That's this man across from me. Name of this album is 28. Y'all can stream it on all music platforms.
Yes, indeed.
By NeRo AnGeLo.
Man. Let me see. See if we can get some bros in. The men, I mean, where y'all at? Y'all better not be hiding. For real.
Come on now.
Let's not have that.
Ladies be showing up. Don't let them show y'all up.
Right.
Also, y'all, in the description of the video are our relevant links where you can find me, the DarksKing poet, him, NeRo AnGeLo, as well as our artistry and our artwork. You can also find ways that you can support us via Cash App, PayPal. What's the other one? Via Anchor.
Yep.
You can do it monthly, one time, however you want to do it. Those options are available. We also have merchandise for y'all to buy. I have on one of the shirts.
Yeah, Rob 25 says she late. What's up?
Here go the hoodie.
Yup.
We got ish.
Speaking of such, let me go ahead and drop that link in there. Because, you know, we here. Oh, that ain't the one I want. This is the one I want.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Power.
Hey. Let's see. That's the one.
You better quit acting like y'all don't want to talk tonight. We're going to get into it.
Right. We'll have some real life conversations here soon.
It's still funny on it.
I think so.
We're trying to get popping on Instagram too.
Right.
But they're being on that BS. I see that it nah, that's just a lie.
It says that it's on there.
You see anything else going off on that? I don't know why that paused.
Let me see. It says it's live. It's going through the yellow duck or whatever. Let me see if it'll reload it.
Oh, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all better play the loud.
Right.
Ray. Name of this song is Loud, featuring another prominent artist area. Shout out to Sonny.
Also a fellow podcaster. Please do check out the Fire This Time podcast.
Yes, sir.
That good work.
Available on Apple Podcasts and YouTube.
Yes, sir. Let's see. I'm gonna try again.
Shout out to the three of y'all in here. I don't know if I said anything to you, Twin. How you doing?
We're restarting the broadcast through the Yellow Duck Instagram, man.
Friendly fire on, but that is a shot, twin. That's technically a shot, but you ain't lying.
Ooh, love is scary.
Where y'all at? Y'all scared to talk about yourselves? What's up?
I mean, it's true. Love is scary for a lot of people.
Don't tell me all three of these people are saying here are women.
Right.
I know better than that. I mean, I could be wrong.
Right. Hold on.
If y'all know some healthy men out here that love to actually converse,
Get him in here.
bring them on. And even the ones we take all of them.
I know Deontay about to be on the way because he said he'd be in after class.
Cool.
I'm trying to get some brothers in. You know. BSOG Mental said, "What's up? What's up?
What's power?
What's good, bro?" KGBD Senior says, "What's good, y'all?"
What's going on, bro?
It's cracking, man.
Well, my boys right there. What's going on?
How you feel about the title, bro? What you think? What's your thoughts? In fact, let me ask that real quick.
Power. I got a bar somewhere that I wrote.
Yeah.
Referencing that song.
This song?
No, 40 Ounce Profits.
Oh, nice.
I don't even remember the whole of it, but it was something along the lines of, I think it was like, don't worry, NeRo, I got him. These 40 Ounce Profits don't want it. And I don't even remember the rest of it from there.
Bodies.
But
look, bodies. Let's see.
Oh, this top preview, ladies and gentlemen,
Dead. So dead.
fellas. I hope y'all already have some serious conversations tonight. You know, I'm actually glad that this was the topic you picked.
Yeah.
This was a NeRo selected topic.
Yeah.
Because I had some issues this week.
Okay, so
in this particular department.
Hold on. DSOG Mental says, "What is brotherly love?" That's what we asking you, brother. What
do you think it is?
What is your first thought? Let's see. Kiera Rod 25. It's funny, bromance can exist now, but back in the day it was gay. Yeah. Or it probably just came by a different definition, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, you still had, like, brothers in arms and things of that nature. But I don't know if most people would necessarily consider that in the same vein. I do, but I don't know if that's the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Right. But, yeah, you know, I'm curious to see where your mind is with that before we really get deep into it.
Hope y'all doing good tonight.
I'm hoping to eventually get us right on Instagram. That way you can see it from there too. We're going to see though. We're going to see. Technology fighting us today.
We going to get into it tonight.
Yeah. It's about to be heavy.
Seem like most of y'all don't want to really get down into it.
No, I'm a little hurt.
That's okay though. We still gonna have the conversation. We gotta have the tough conversations regardless.
We gotta talk. We do got to talk.
Facts.
Let's see. Let me see.
Hey, those of y'all who are in here who are men or of the male persuasion, please go ahead and share this.
For real.
Y'all are doing the don't do the chat of this service. We want to get some more men in the conversation.
Most certainly. That and make certain to like and subscribe if you are not already.
Yes, please and thank you.
Hit that young bell so that way you can always see when we're doing stuff.
Facts.
Hit that.
We're gonna wait like a couple more minutes, and then we really gonna get into the discussion.
Yes, sir. Is that the new setup? Yeah.
Partially.
It's a tentative setup. We still working on it. Really, in the coming weeks, months or so, you're really gonna see like how this fleshes out.
Oh yeah, this is like the alpha right now. We ain't even at the beta yet.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, for now it's gonna work out. We just wanted to make it, a little presentable for the folks at home.
Facts. I said we got 7 in here. What's up? Hey, any men in here? Share this with other men. We trying to have a male discussion. Women, ladies, y'all can get in the discussion too. You might take something away from it. We will run this back with the ladies.
Okay, here we go. DSOG Mental says showing love for Black community and going as one to create power. Okay. And when brotherly is not toxic, okay, so that's what brotherly love is to you. Okay, I feel that. Which I don't think it has to be that specific, but it also doesn't have to be generalized. So that's actually solid. That's solid.
Facts. So.
Don't critique me on my art. Sensitive without my edge. Spend some late nights in the dark. Right until I spray my wrist. Me my music like a dealer. I got primo tracks to flip. And I just been writing my bang down. Never been one to take safe routes. Tend to just chill in the cut. Observe up the humans we have while I space out. Fighting with so many obstacles till I found out I've been in my own way. Wow.
Let's see.
How that Graham still going? Still not really breaking on none?
I ain't seeing it yet. Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Are you on yours?
Yeah, I'm on mine. Because it did say, you won't see nothing on the other one. Let me see if it brings up a notification. That's weird.
Did it have you log in or anything, or ask for any? I was just say check your email or something.
Yeah.
Shout out to those of y'all who just now joining us. If you haven't already, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please, we need all the support we can get so we can produce more videos more often and better quality videos as well for you guys. This podcast is completely powered by our ability to take time out of our lives to produce it. We aren't getting paid anything to produce it. This is on the strength of us and y'all as our support.
Right.
I gotta live, I gotta work, I gotta grind, I gotta shine.
Yes, indeed.
You want me to? I can look at it too on my end.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
Because I got them both connected, so I don't know if maybe that affects it.
Let's find out.
Right.
I gotta work, I gotta grind, I gotta shine. Hey. I said I gotta live, I gotta work, I gotta grind, I gotta shine.
Let's see.
But we ain't gonna hold y'all. Let's get into it.
Right.
So,
folk will join in as they go. Okay, what's up, Kiki? What's good with you? We need to get some more brothers on here. We appreciate the ladies being here, but we do want some more brothers on here because they need to notice it. Let's see. Yeah, but go ahead on into it, bro.
I'm gonna let you run this one, man. This was your suggestion.
All right. So, honestly, shout out to the homie Deontay Nelson. He actually kind of sparked this idea that I had for this one. I was chilling at work, scrolling through Instagram or whatever, because I had some off time, and I happened to see where the brother man posted. He said, "Men, tell your brothers you love them. They might need to hear it, and that might be the last time you're able to tell them."
Woo!
And that hit like a brick. I was just like, I was like, yeah. And that brought to my attention and to my mind the true importance of brotherly love. The simple fact that it's important for us as men to have established base of camaraderie, genuine respect for each other. You know, we should be able to be at a point where we can, like, we should be at a point where we can effectively communicate with each other, be able to critique each other if it's necessary, you know, and really just being straight up with each other and everything. Let's see. Oh, DSOG is offering his service. I can help out doing video portion. Much appreciated, sir.
Yeah, appreciate it. If you could just privately message and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do appreciate the offer, though.
Definitely.
Let's see. Out of curiosity, we having any issues with resolution? Because for some reason it looks like our network connection is a little weak. I don't know if it's a thing or what.
Yeah, definitely let us know if y'all can hear us clearly, y'all can see us. Let us know what's up.
That's all we need. We do need to make sure we right. Speaking of such,
you guys, when it comes to brotherly love,
yeah,
you know, I wanted to make sure, like, at least with the title.
Choppy. That's weird. We probably back now, but all right, go ahead.
When it comes to brotherly love, you know, not even gonna lie, just the way the title is structured is a little fallacious in that a lot of people might see that and be turned off. Hell, that might be some of the reason why some of the men that are out there that did see this podcast come along or this topic, falling back on it.
Right.
Now, we created a group on an event on Facebook, and it's called the Importance of Brotherhood.
Right.
Because that is the core of what it is. The love aspect is part of that, right? It's a core part of the glue that binds the whole brotherhood together.
Right.
If y'all don't love and respect each other, you're probably not friends. If anything, you might either be strangers or enemies.
Right.
And
it's just genuine respect.
I think the greatest thing that comes out of such a setup is accountability. And that's important because for the most part, I've told men this, I tell women this all the time. We, you know, a lot of times due to, you know, some of these stereotypes, primarily, not generalizations, but stereotypes.
Right.
There's this misconception that if there's a gentleman, a guy who's not behaving in his proper
role,
his proper masculine role, and we're not talking about toxic masculinity when we say that, but a man being a man, right?
Right.
That he may be one of many if he also has friends, or basically, so to say, that in general you're the average of the 5 closest people around you.
Right.
So a lot of times, you know, the whole notion of birds of a feather fly together. But what a lot of people don't understand is just that there ain't nothing on earth more stubborn, I'm telling y'all now, than a man.
Yeah.
Can't no other men change those men's minds.
Right.
And they damn sure ain't listening to women either.
Right.
And why does that matter? It matters because when you have a group of friends that also don't operate within that same proper masculine frame,
right?
Ain't nobody holding each other accountable. Then you just got a group of what we typically refer to is fuck boys.
Yeah.
Or ain't shit, you know what?
Or just males.
But well,
that's
it's getting conflated as male. It's getting conflated as males, yeah. But that's the thing, you know, I'm of the opinion that we shouldn't call men or males who don't operate like men. I feel like those are still boys. And I feel that distinction is important because the behavior is different.
Right.
And thus, if they mistreating people, you got to treat those people different.
Right.
And when you have the right kind of friend circle around you, they're not going to let you be that dude.
Right. They're not going to let you try to be a terrible person. Let me see. Rico Luis Mendez said, men showing emotions and feelings needs to become a thing. No reason a man can't say I love you to another. It shouldn't be shameful. What makes a man, though?
Well,
Ooh, that's a big question.
So here's the thing,
you
right?
Just brought up our second question there.
Here's the thing with that, Rico, right? If we adopt the notion, because many people believe it, and it really doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not, that these things are social constructs, right? Then we got to look at the history of where these things may come from. I'm a firm believer that whether you believe it to be science or not, that both men and women should understand male and female nature, period. Because whether you believe it to be something scientifically accurate, genetically accurate, or however technical or in the weeds you want to get, I'm the firm believer in living in reality. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't do this whole idealistic utopia bullshit where we just come up with these ideals that we would love to see.
Right.
When reality tells us that's not what's going on.
Right.
Like, even if it's a social construct, right? It's been going on long enough that these typical characteristics and traits are associated with either masculine or feminine.
Right.
All we really got to do is take some time to research what some of those things are.
Right.
Because it's not like we naturally being taught it anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's a great question to ask, right? Mm-hmm. And if there's anybody who's going to be the first person to lead the conversation of what makes a man, it probably should be a man, right?
Right. Okay, I feel that.
We can name a lot of characteristics, and shout out to the 9 of y'all in here right now.
Exactly.
Please share this with other men. We want to talk with men. Ladies, spectate, marinate, and collect. We're going to run this back with y'all too, NeRo.
Yep, most definitely. One thing that I would say, at least my personal definition of what makes a man, or what a man should be defined as, is, for me, it's being resolute in your decision making. A man knows what he wants. A man knows what his purpose is. A man knows what his goals are and has an idea of how to get to them. Doesn't necessarily mean he's got it, but he's got an idea of how to get to where he needs to go. So for me, like, a man was always defined as somebody who could be a solid decision maker, who could pick out a path, forge it, and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. DSOG Mental says it's the community that makes a man. That's okay. So we could also, so with that being said, we could also present the nature versus nurture argument. So you can be a man by nature, but perhaps you're not being properly nurtured into the type of individual you need to be as a man, right? And as a result of that, you're unable to truly express any sort of camaraderie with other males. Because I think one big thing, just to say what you're talking about, one big thing in the community is that there is a lot of problems amongst men in the community when it comes to us giving each other genuine respect, when it comes to us giving each other genuine levels of consideration, genuine levels of just appreciation and accolades. You know what I mean? Like, you see women give each other accolades all the time. Not saying they're perfect at it, but you do see it. With men, it's not frequently seen. It's getting better. I like to say that it's getting better, but we are not quick or swift to give another man accolades in any way. It's almost as though we still think of another man as being competition for anything, even from the smallest things to the largest things.
I think that's part of the, the societal and gender norms played upon us. Right. So to be more direct with Rico's question from earlier,
right?
Some of those characteristics that we associate with the nature is the typical gender and societal norms that a lot of people these days are rallying against. So the notion of being a protector, being a provider, being able to build and give back to society, because men are typically viewed to, or males are typically viewed to, once they become men, to contribute something to society, produce, right?
Yes.
Women reproduce, men produce.
Right.
Women give birth to the children, and those children go on to further build what is society. So for the most part, whether you want to believe in that or not, that's the basis for where we start.
Right.
And remember, we're living in the here and now. So plenty of people were already doing one thing or another before we even came. And this is our moment, so to speak, because we don't know what happens after this, although we have speculation.
Right.
So I was always taught to, one, believe in myself, and two, that I would have to go out there in this world and produce something of value. Most men are taught, conditioned, indoctrinated, whatever word you want to use, to describe the pressure that is put on us in society to produce something. Because typically when a man doesn't produce something, he's viewed as many things: a failure, a bum, these things. That's not to say that they can't be lady failures or bums, but typically bum culture and what is viewed as a bum is associated with a man and not a woman.
And usually the failure of a man to, like you said, produce, to actually be a functional and productive member of society, when they do not demonstrate that ability, they are seen as deficient.
Less of a man.
Yeah.
And I think generally speaking, most of us still to this day, at least when it comes to that particular thing, still accept that.
Right.
You know, that takes a lot of your ability to problem solve, which is also known as IQ.
Right.
I say that because specifically with IQ, we often think it's about being smart, and that's actually not what it's about. It's about your ability to problem solve and figure things out. And you don't necessarily have to be the smartest person to do that. You just have to more so be crafty in your way of thinking.
Right.
And as a man, you know, typically, once again, even naturally, when we have interactions, especially with women, and I know most of y'all in these comments can relate to this, but typically, even the way our minds think, we're like always thinking in like, well, how can I solve something? How can I make something better? Because that's how we're groomed, indoctrinated, et cetera in this world. Alyssa Co says, you need a male and a female to make a man.
No, DSLG said that part.
Yeah, I'm sorry. DSLG said, you need a male and a female to make a man, instilling the right things. That is what's missing in the black community now. And Alyssa Co says, I have noticed all this and it sucks. I want to say something to DSOG Mental real quick.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that in the sense that, yes, we need less single parent homes. Now, when I'm having a conversation in the frame that we're talking about it right now, if we want to put it in a black scope, that's cool. I'm talking about men in general, though.
Right.
But if we're gonna speak on the black community specifically, yes, I agree. But I also agree in the concept of a two-parent household with any race,
Absolutely,
not just black.
Just
if we're talking about a
because-
specific
just
problem of
because-
ours, yes,
Look,
I'm with you.
Just because it does provide a certain level of structure, like in a lot of the parenthood books. It's funny. I actually have a couple male parenthood. I actually have a pair of male parenthood books that we use with some of our clients now, and it's called 24-hour. I think it's like 24-hour dad, and it's like an AM person and PM person. One of the things that it starts off with is establishing roles, and it always asks, what did you think the role of a father was? What do you believe it is now? But one thing that it does always consider is, what is the mother's role? What do you believe the mother's role is? How do y'all work together? How do y'all make it happen, right? But getting back, even going on that, the establishment of a community with males who do all work cohesively to build that community, to nurture that community, to teach that community is incredibly important. Just because of the fact that when that is established, because we've seen it in the past with our ancestors, when that is established, the community itself is stronger as a whole. Because honestly, look, let's be real. Most of the biggest movements, if we want to go on the black side, most of the biggest movements we had were spearheaded, guided, led, and worked primarily by women. Then the men showed up. You know what I'm saying? But when the men do show up, when the men do step forward and they do make the moves, more things happen because that's usually the last piece that fits. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us have struggled to work cohesively. Let me see. Alyssa and Co said, I don't know if I can speak much, but I identify as non-binary.
I mean,
That's actually an interesting perspective.
If you anybody can take something from this conversation.
Right.
We want to have a conversation with men tonight on this issue because it's prevalent in so many ways. And I think this is primarily where it starts at. Because we got to check us before we can really check anybody else.
Right.
And furthermore, there's a conversation to be had about women and accountability.
Yeah.
But tonight, we're talking about men and accountability, especially as it relates to men interacting with other men.
Absolutely.
They're naturally, you know, and like I said, these are in general social constructs. They definitely are that. Though also they are ingrained in the culture.
Right.
And so when it's ingrained in the culture, it's not as simple as telling people to stop doing it.
Right.
That's not how it works.
That's only the first step.
People been doing this before us. We have to remember that. Like sometimes, you know, when we talk about these dynamics and stuff, we get in our own head and we think that like we're the first or we're the most prominent to be doing this of this variety.
Right.
No, we're not.
We're not.
9
times out of 10, we're not. Let's see. Rico Luis Mendez said, men need to start building each other and having each other's backs. Exactly.
Yeah, and that primarily starts with accountability and also appreciation.
I think another part of it also starts in the home as well. Like, I mean, if you grow up with your siblings, if you grow up under proper parentage, you know, whether it's a single parent household or a dual parent household, I think that it should be emphasized and it should be taught to male boys, to male children, that you have a support system. You and your boys, you and your little homies that you hang out with, go to the playground with, you and your brothers, you and your male cousins, y'all are a unit. Y'all have to stay together. Y'all have to look out for each other. Y'all have to protect each other. Because in the end of the day, y'all are all y'all have whenever you're in that situation.
Yep.
And if you start that concept early, if you start that as early as being a child, that child will always come to appreciate those type of relationships in his life. You know what I mean? And that's just the absolute truth. A lot of us as men do not appreciate those sort of experiences because a lot of us have a jaded view of each other.
Sure. We're definitely more bred, like I said, indoctrinated to be at competition with each other. I know we don't have any like physical women, you know, in terms of in the pod,
right?
But I'm sure most would probably agree to that sentiment. Like even from an anecdotal standpoint, because you know we can only say so much about the opposite sex, right? You know, but with that, right? I want to read the chat real quick.
Yeah.
Melissa & Co says there are a lot more things expected of a man than a woman. It's not right. What makes a man is the same things as a woman. What the person identifies with. And then Rico said there's ways to point out mistakes. Stop telling people they're garbage or ain't because they made a mistake or have been shown the proper ways.
Right.
And she was adding what identifies to the question. That's true. And that's part of the conversation that's being had primarily, not completely, but primarily by those who identify as part of the LGBTQ community. And in that, I will agree, they have a point in that general sense. However, once again, we hit this wall where we think that, oh, we've identified this as a problem.
Right.
Now we are mature enough that we can solve it. And it's not really as simple as solving it. It's a fabric of our culture and our everyday living.
Right.
Like
it's something that we just know is can be worked out, but it's going to take time to work out because it took time to get worked into us.
Sure, it's in ways it's no different than religion versus atheism, where what we're dealing with is how people are raised in their homes. Like NeRo said earlier, we have to harbor and create a healthy home environment in order to raise our children and future children to be the better people that we weren't. Because it's not as simple as us trying to make the differences where we are. I'm pretty sure most of y'all who are at least millennials remember being told, hey, your generation is going to do this. Your generation is going to do that. Y'all are going to be the trailblazers of this, that, and the third. I remember hearing things like that when I was younger, when I was a kid and stuff. And now I'm starting to see some of that coming to fruition, especially with the Gen Zs, the early 20-year-olds and under. Like we're seeing a lot of that, of progressive moving in many different directions. But we have to understand that these concepts are age old. They're age old. When you're trying to do societal changes, revolutionary changes in society, that shit takes time. It just does. I mean, look how long it took for chattel slavery to end. Look how long it took for women to be able to have the right to vote. Like, these things don't just happen overnight. And even when it's not rooted in a government system, doesn't change the fact that you are still dealing with how people think, behave, and feel. It takes a minute, especially when you're trying to get a large group of people. We got to lift up more as a culture. Definitely, bro. Thank you for dropping in, man. Share this with any brothers you know. And yes, Alyssa, facts. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a firm believer that if you want to solve a problem, especially a problem that you feel is rooted in community, you have to start with yourself. You start with you, then you start with the individuals in your household, then you go outside the house. You clean up the house inside before you go outside or before you go to somebody else trying to clean up theirs.
That's absolutely true. And see, the biggest thing about that is, like I said, most of the things that we deal with, most of the things we end up dealing with in later life usually start at the home. They usually start in the community. They usually start in the small space that you're in. And the problem is a lot of men keep trying to act like gladiators. And it's the truth. A lot of us actively and sometimes automatically compete with each other. Like, we'll look at a person, like we'll look at another, like say me and you run into each other. Be like, all right, his glasses look a certain way. All right, his beard kind of similar to mine. I don't know what's up.
You know what I call it?
Different.
I call it sizing them up.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, and keep in mind, like, we're speaking from a male perspective about men.
Right.
So this is not to say that women don't exhibit any of these characteristics.
This is just our perspective.
But this is just our perspective. And also, men, and this is one thing that I have learned,
right,
is that typically when it comes to situations getting problematic, men are more likely to actually fight when there's a difference of opinion or disagreement.
Right.
Like, I would venture to say that most women probably don't have interactions that even start off the calmest of situations and can immediately jump to that.
Right. And
like
the thing about it is too, is one thing that you notice with men, especially in a parental role or certain things of that nature, when you do confront them about certain things concerning aspects of their life where they might be deficient, they either get very defensive or they try to analyze you or find things that are wrong with you or deficient with you. I have had situations where men I considered friends, I considered bros, were straight up not necessarily preying on my downfall, but they had a significant issue with me being up a little too high, if you get what I'm saying. And that's the problem. you should, if somebody's your bro, if somebody's your homie, if somebody's, if somebody's your boy, like, if this brother's doing well with his life, if he's making money, he goes out and buys him a car with the money he just got. If he get a promotion or something, get him a house, I'm not supposed to be sitting off in the cut going like, man, I can't believe this dude got a house before me, man.
Right.
Like, and these are people who consider themselves bros.
Yeah.
They will look at each other and be like,
check y'all friend circles, man.
right. Look, and be mad, and sit there and be mad and be like, man, I ain't got no house. How come he got a house? Maybe you should be asking yourself that instead of asking him that. It ain't, look, because I'll say this right now. I will say this right now. On the subject of brotherly love, although it is my responsibility as your bro, as your homie, as your brother, to be supportive of you, to encourage your goals, to give you wise counsel when I can, and vice versa, it is not my job to carry you.
Woo!
It is not my job to carry you.
And that's the thing.
And it's also not, look, and I'm going to say this as well. Look, it's not my job to raise you.
Nope.
If you are a fully grown adult and I'm a fully grown adult, we should be able to talk on that level. We should be able to communicate on that level. That's fine. But I am not your parent. I'm not your father. I'm not here to raise you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes what the point of contention is, and the reason why what some of them define as brotherly love is really somebody else carrying them. Somebody else saying, well, let me give you all this support, because it stops being support and it starts being enabling, and then that's problematic.
Yeah. Also, what we typically refer to as yes men. Listen,
Yes.
Coach says, I size people up. I do it for a protective stance, to go through what I have. It's time to try to be safe.
Well,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
and that's why
Yeah, it
we
makes perfect
said,
sense.
women do it too. But what it is that with men, like, sometimes we'll have nonverbal interactions with other men where we can tell it, like, that tension be so high in the air that you be ready for another man to swing on you.
Right.
Like it be that deep.
Look, and the serious
And it be
thing
over
is,
the littlest of things. And most of the time, whether y'all be paying attention or not, it be over y'all.
Sometimes,
A lot of times when men do get into scuffles, not all, but a lot of times, it's either they having a disagreement about some regular thing, or it's centered around a woman.
Yes. Or the acquisition.
Or the acquisition of.
Or the acquisition of attention. That is one of the biggest ones. Usually it's the acquisition of attention. And that goes back to validation. We even brought validation up a few times. But it's serious. Just like what Rico's saying. He said, watch what your friends are saying. I just had to check someone because of their racism I didn't realize exists. Next thing he tried outing me on Facebook with some garbage that wasn't even true.
Man.
Look, man.
Been there, bro.
Oh, yeah. We all have.
Been there.
We all have.
And I'm the type person, if it ain't directed, it ain't respected.
Right.
I don't just jump into a fight because somebody's saying something about me.
Like, I'm not going to run up and swing on you. But at the same time, here's my thing. I'm not going to run up on you and swing on you if you say something sideways, but I will check you on it if I have to.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
And look.
Unless you being completely indirect, I'll let you be the hoe you being.
Right. Look, another part of brotherly love, though, is being ready, willing to not only check and chastise another brother, but being just as ready and willing to accept chastisement. As in, to put it in layman's terms for the young folk, if you messing up, and you know you messing up, because in some cases you do, sometimes you don't, and your bro come up to you and say, hey man, you tripping right now. Like, no disrespect, no rudeness. He ain't sitting there talking about you being out in the street. He ain't putting your name out. He came to you and is saying, look, bro, I think you tripping right now. Let's sit down and talk. Let's figure this out. That's not disrespect. That's not disrespect. That's not him hating on you. That's not nothing like that.
Yeah.
That is called critique. Look, that's a critique. That is reproach.
Yeah.
And if that's your brother, if that's your man, if that's your bro, if that's your homie, then you should expect, not only should you respect that he does that, you should expect him to do that if he ain't acting right.
Facts.
And and just like he should expect you to do the same thing. Because if we're not able to check each other as men, there's a problem. That's how inconsistencies occur. That's how you have too many of these men who power trip and do way too much and actually lean in the realm of disrespect towards their other homies and towards other men because ain't nobody ever checked him.
And ladies, peep game, because I'm gonna tell you this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Those of y'all who get in these relationships thinking y'all can change those type of men, you're not. And believe me, if they ain't had at least one friend who tried to change them, they at least had a parent, a counselor, a cousin, an uncle, somebody try to talk some sense into them.
Yes.
They have to come to those conclusions
on their
own.
Yes.
Nobody can save them.
No.
Nobody can save them.
No. And honestly, you just won't have that. And
and you can't have it in your circle. You can love them from a distance, because what'll eventually happen is
they either gonna get it right or they won't.
Yeah, pretty much. And if they do get it right, they're gonna apologize. They're gonna come back and see the error of their ways and be like, man, I was
it's rare. It's rare if they do.
It's rare, but it can happen.
Yes.
It's not impossible.
But I will say this. When it comes to certain things, one thing I've noticed is that men do not like a lot of the reason why we do fear reproach, and I keep harping on this particular part because it's important and because it does hit hard, because it's one of the things that is the hardest thing to get through to with us personally. We don't like nobody seeming like they're smarter than us. We don't like nobody seeming like they're stronger than us. We don't like nobody seeming like they're in any way superior to us when it comes to certain levels and certain avenues. So when you have a brother that comes to you and says, hey man, you tripping, what they hear sometimes is, you ain't on the level yet.
Or
let me, as a person who is an expert and as a person who knows more than you, tell you something because I know more than you. Not because I care about you getting right, but because I want you to feel inferior to me because I had to get you right.
Basically, what it ends up boiling down to is your manhood is being questioned.
Yeah.
And now,
or rather the efficacy of your manhood.
Yeah. And now that's like the worst offense. That's why I say, like, a lot of times, the same way that women have some of their violent encounters with men, usually off the cusp of something they've said about that man, usually pointing out something about him to himself. The same thing be happening with other men.
Yeah.
That's why I say, like, you have to look. It's like the bull. You got to let that bull run around until he tire himself out. Right. You get out the way though. Get out the way. Look, because when he running, he don't give a damn.
Right.
What you look like.
Look. Because seriously, especially now that I'm starting to have these experiences in this new job, like as a caseworker, dealing with some in these cases, dealing with men when it's just them and their kids. I've literally seen an example, it's documented, of the man is doing things like he's cooking, he's making the food, he's doing all this stuff to show that he's, what's up, Paris? To show that he is,
what's power?
Look, to show that he is capable. But yet he's letting his 3 kids run amok and act crazy and intervening occasionally, but letting us do most of the work. But you can cook, you can clean the area, you can make it look presentable, you can make things look
good.
What's
power, bro?
What's good, G? Look, but you are not taking care of the actual issue, the hard part, which is getting them kids in line. And see, that's the thing. And even in the midst of that, one thing we do have to worry about is if you do have children and you have 2 male children or more, you cannot play favorites. And sometimes that's the problem. Sometimes they'll either play favorites with the oldest one or the youngest one. The oldest one because they need the least amount of help, the youngest one because they need the most, and then the middle brother gets left out. All of a sudden, as they grow up, you wonder why they don't have a sense of camaraderie with each other, or why one of those brothers gets left out in the shovel, because you didn't teach them to support each other. You taught them to undermine each other. Because sometimes you'll have situations where one brother will say, and these are like little kids, they'll say, well, he punched me, he did this. No, I didn't. And instead of having your antennas on and looking, you look over and you like, hey, get it together, get it right. You know what I mean? You ain't even worried about who you snapping at. You're creating a divide because you're encouraging them to battle for your attention. And sometimes parents do that. You have, it starts in the home. You have to encourage the concept of brotherhood and camaraderie amongst your male children. Just like you have to encourage sisterhood amongst your female children.
Yeah, that's definitely that's definitely a pillar of where it starts, especially if you have multiple children.
Right, and I can't say it enough. If you don't start that early on in life, and they have to learn it later, it takes years.
And they may learn it the hard way.
Right.
They may learn like plenty of times we see people get with the wrong crowds and shit.
Yes, they find. But look, but one thing that we can't say, as much as we say something bad about that crowd, you know what they say? Well, those are my bros. Those are my brothers. They support me because they will tell them, hey, you with us. We wear the same color. It's all respect. It's all love between us. If you're in trouble, we in trouble. You jump in, we jump in. And that's what it is. Let's see. It's a late reply. What's that a reply to, if you don't mind letting us know?
Yeah, I don't think I caught what
because I might have to scroll back.
What the earlier part of that was.
The sizing people up. Okay, I get that. Okay, I know what you're talking about. So for your case, it was different for why your ex, because it was why your ex got violent. So I get it. That's the reason why you size certain people up. Okay, I get that. But yeah, you know, another thing about that is just like what my bro Deontay shared.
Hold on, bro.
Oh, you gonna run that part back?
I'm gonna run that back. Y'all needed to hear that. Hold on.
Run it back a little bit more.
Hold on. Listen to the rock. What is he saying here? Go eat some ice cream. Come on.
Yeah.
What are you so angry about?
Right.
Don't make me do my rock impression.
Look, hey, but you know what?
What are y'all so angry about?
And that's a valid point, because even in that case, that's an example of what we're talking about. It's a negative example of what we're talking about. Because in just to frame that was a clip from, like, you know, from my WWE folks,
for the wrestling fans,
yeah, where Triple H and The Rock were supposed to team up, but Triple H is like, let me make this clear, I don't need you to be my savior when we go out there. And he looked at him, and the first thing that The Rock says is, "What are you so angry about? Why are you so angry?" And it's a valid point, because of the simple fact of, even in the midst of being in camaraderie, you still have to emphasize to the other person that should be your support in whatever capacity, be it a coworker, a bro, a friend, or whatever. You still have to emphasize to them that you don't need the help, even though you're still getting the help. You get what I'm saying? And that's questionable. That's real problematic, because that sort of behavior, I hate to say this word because I don't like this word, it's toxic. It's absolutely toxic, because what you're doing is you're going into a situation already assuming a position of insecurity. Failure. Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. Like, I love that lyric came when it came. Because that's how y'all be like, yo, we supposed to be working together.
Right.
What you tripping on? Like, the mission is still the mission.
Right.
We have a collective purpose. And I'm going to get on a slight solidarity tangent that is technically related.
Ooh.
In that there's supposed to be some sort of solidarity amongst our community, so to speak, right?
Right.
We're not a monolith, but we can have collective goals and ideas that we strive for, that we want to see. And when we hold each other accountable, we're holding each other responsible, good or bad, for the decisions that are made as it relates to our goals, to our purpose, what we are trying to do in life.
Right. Oh, and a listening code, we not, look, if you look frustrated because you got chronic pain, we ain't talking about that. We talking about whenever you are visually showing disgust for somebody in a situation where it doesn't even warrant it, because you have situations. Look, yeah. Rico said, I feel you, Alyssa. I battle with fibromyalgia bad. Keep your head up however you can. Don't ever give up. That's real.
Power.
Hey, but like for real, a lot of the biggest things about manhood is camaraderie, and that's one of the things that isn't spoken about. That's one of the biggest things that isn't spoken about. It is camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? If we know that if I'm doing all right and I know that you out here doing bad for whatever reason, screw why, I ain't necessarily got to pull up on you and drop 10 stacks on you, but I can at least come around and be like, hey, bro, what's going on? What's the issue? You good? You know what I mean? And if you feel like talking, cool. If you don't feel like talking, you'll admit that. But that's how that works. Like, me and this man have had situations where it's like, hey, man, I need to bow out for a little bit. I just need some time to chill, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing wrong with that so long as you're honest. It doesn't make you seem deficient. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less of a man. It just makes you honest. Because to be honest, the strongest people, the smartest people, and the most effective people are aware of what their strengths and their weaknesses are, where their areas of improvement are needed.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong or non-manly about that.
Nope.
But it is a whole lot stupid with trying to assume that you have no weaknesses or you have no flaws and no deficiencies.
That you're impervious to damage.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that is how some of y'all be acting and how y'all get. Right. And I mean, it happens to the best of us. I'd be lying if I never said I never had a point in my time where I felt like I was invincible. But at least for me, I put it like this. My favorite expression is comparison is a thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that. And that's something I done believed for a long time, but I really honed in on it as I got older. I really started to believe it as I came more into who I was going to be as a person.
Right.
Because what I realized is I never really wanted to be like anyone else. There were things that I saw that, I was inspired by, mainly by like my brothers and people like that.
Right.
That I was like, I want to do that because my brother do that because that's cool.
Right.
But as an adult, right, I'm only interested in being better than I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about being great, I'm never comparing me to nobody else. I think I'm the shit regardless.
It's the concept of surpassing yourself.
That's the only person I'm racing with, bro.
Right. Okay. Rico brought up a valid point. Battling with a disability, it does feel like an uphill battle to be taken seriously and respected as a man. Plus, I'm not afraid to show my pain or emotions, and you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. Look, I'm gonna tell. Okay. Thanks Tevin later, aka Deontay, said some of the best lessons I learned how to work with others was from playing sports, because I learned earlier that in order to reach new levels, it's much easier with a great team over just myself.
Bruh. And I love that you said that, because that just reminded me of that one podcast that I was listening to.
Yeah. He said, I never cared about being in front of being first. If my team win, I win. There you go.
Thank Tevin?
Yeah.
Thank Tevin later.
That's Deontay.
I know. Thank Tevin later. For those of y'all in the comments section, he has his own podcast called the Sabali Podcast.
Yes, indeed.
Shout out to him. This man be dropping jewels, not Santana.
Man's got the Patreon. So I mean, look,
Facts.
I was planning on hopping on.
He got merch too.
Whenever we get it,
go
ahead, hop on his Patreon.
That's probably where we're gonna front load the interviews and stuff. Spoiler alert.
Share the wealth.
We're gonna post a link to that too here in just a moment. But yeah, man, because you saying that also reminded me of The Last Dance too, and how a lot of times people would attribute Jordan to really be so much more about himself, but a lot of times if you asked him, he would tell you it was the team.
Yeah.
He never even really liked to talk about how good he was. A lot of the times he was just like, this is the team, because he understood as great as he was, he couldn't do it by himself.
Right.
And that is the beauty in sports. And that's why my son definitely going to play some form of type of sports.
I will say I've never been a huge sport person, but I do respect the dynamic, the team dynamic that comes with it, because that's always been something that I respect.
That's why a lot of the best movies for most people are usually like sports and coach movies.
That makes sense.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He said he pushed those guys. He had people quit on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And today still some of them people resent him for it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, look where it got y'all.
Right.
Like he stayed in y'all ass for a reason.
Look,
now some of it was unwarranted. We can agree. Right. But in the general sense, like he didn't, besides a few, like Isaiah Thomas, he didn't hate y'all per se. He was trying
to elevate
y'all, and he was busting his ass.
Right.
So what I look like sitting around busting my ass and y'all doing half 75% of work, here I am at 150.
Right.
Hell no. Y'all want to win? Y'all want to be successful?
Let's put this.
Get y'all asses out here, and we all gonna do this shit.
Let's see. Thanks, Evan later said Jordan would always point out how important Pippen was to his success. Yeah, I mean, and look, seriously, when it comes to certain stuff, even when I'm talking about the pod to other people, I mention it. Look, if it's something that's credited to this man, I give him his flowers. Like people always like the QR code that we got. That's Kurt. Look, this him. Like this is what he made. You know what I'm saying? They be like, yo, that looks so dope. I'm like, yeah, my bro that I work with made this.
Appreciate it. And you I don't even like praise. I don't.
Look, I'm still weird about it. Getting into music made me have to accept it. But seriously, sometimes the biggest thing about it is you have to give people credit where it's due.
You do. Even if they're like me and they're like, don't do that. Nah, still give them their flowers.
Because that's another tenet of respect. And if you're not, and once again, you give what you expect to get.
Yeah.
So if you want to be respected, you want to be considered, and you want to be, validated for the things that you do, and the things that for the things that you do, for the things that you perform well at, then you got to give somebody else that same treatment. You have to give somebody else that same respect.
Keep the same energy.
Exactly. Look, because just like with kids, if you want them to model certain positive behaviors, or rather, if you want them to actually exhibit positive behaviors, what do? Every time they exhibit a positive behavior, you encourage it. You're like, yeah, this what's up. This really good. It's the same. Look, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as you do with adults. It works the same way. If somebody is acting in a way that is pro-social and is positive, you encourage that. But thanks, Evan later said, y'all giving out information that people find value in. Y'all better get used to it. I'm going to try, bro.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But, Jay, just like I was having the exchange with you the other day on Instagram, if you admire somebody, you should go ahead and tell them. People never get the flowers while they can still smell them. Hey, you might, whether you're the biggest or you're not a fan at all. Kanye said that shit like 15 years ago, and you know what?
I mean, it was true.
It's I don't even know if he came up with that. I don't know, and I don't care, because all that matters is the message, not the message.
It's true. Look, and Erin, she said it's like a relationship. You're supposed to make each other better. Absolutely. Look, one thing I always used to say when I was in a group is everything that I do good makes the group look good. Everything that you do good makes the group look good. We exist as a unit. You know what I'm saying? Look, y'all remember back when y'all was in elementary school and stuff, and they told you, look, or your mama or your daddy or your grandma or granddaddy said, look, you're a reflection of me. You're a reflection of me. When people see you, they see me, because you part of me. That's the same thing with your bros. if you got a group of bros and you got a group of homies, y'all look, association breeds similarity. So with that being understood and known, whatever they see out of you and whatever they see out of your bro, they putting their heads together and trying to put 2 and 2 to make it 4. And if it come out 3, they gonna be sitting there wondering, where's the issue at? Who's the weak link, right? And that's the truth. You know what I'm saying? We are the Black Independent Podcast. So whatever certain things I do reflect on us. Whatever certain things he does reflects on us.
Facts.
Why? Because we exist as a unit. We exist as a unit, whether we blood or not. You know what I mean? I got a number of bros, a number of sisters that are not blood. I don't have any biological siblings, but I have people that I claim as siblings because I treat them that way.
Yeah.
And they give me the same respect in return. You know what I mean? They treat my grandparents like it's their grandparents. You know? And that's the way it should be.
Aaron, she said it's like a relationship. You're supposed to make each other better. Exactly. You know, we typically use that word when we talking about, you know, non-platonic relationships. But yeah, connections, these are all types of relationships, right?
We are the culture. We set the tone. It's a movement. Absolutely.
Facts, bro.
And honestly,
you already know it.
Look, and honestly, as I've said before, if you look at any movement, especially amongst the Black community, if we want to harp on that, who have been the spearheaders, the hardest workers, the grinders, the hustlers of every major movement? Who was it? It was women. Then the men came in. The women stood at the forefront. They stood at the gap. When the men decided, I don't even want to say couldn't, when they decided they didn't want to. Well, and then when the men came in, then we were able to build even more, because it has to be both in order to build community. But the simple fact is, we can't always rely on the ladies to beat us to the punch whenever we need to get something done.
If we're talking in a modern day context, I'm definitely in agreement with you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if we're going to be historical about it, there was the time where they didn't have a choice.
Right.
So, you know, it is time. Like, if we're looking at it from a modern perspective, yes. Yeah. And this is why this matters, because we have to check ourselves first.
Yes.
Because we all know most of us ain't not even going to do that. We all know that you less likely, some of y'all, especially depending on your environment, are less likely to listen to somebody of the opposite sex, whether you male or female,
when it concerns something with you.
Yeah, when it concerns something with you, especially if it's something that has to do with your gender specifically. Like, a woman ain't gonna listen to another man tell her about women before she listens to another woman tell her that woman about that. Vice versa. So yeah, because we got to clean up our house first. Right. One of my biggest points that I like to harp on is that when we talk about men and women and dating and relationships and all that stuff, I hate the conversations, because I feel like almost all the conversations are about, well, men do this, well, women do that, and I'm tired of that shit.
It becomes a yam measuring contest.
Yeah, it literally becomes the victim Olympics, where we're arguing about who does the most shit to who. And the fact of the matter is, you can find data points to suggest fuckery on both sides of the equation. Absolutely. So why can't we come to the general conclusion that we have done each other a disservice,
and we need to check each other respectively? As in, we need to step back. The men need to check themselves, figure out what's going on. The women need to step back, do the same thing.
We both got to do.
Look, one thing that I said is a quote on Facebook. I made a quote. I said, if you decide to be an accuser, be prepared to stand as the accused.
Yeah.
Every time you put somebody else on the witness stand, that means that you are opening the door to have the same thing done to you. And that is something that we have to realize. So many of us are so quick to criticize because we worried about our pride getting hurt. And that's men. I'm speaking on men. So many of us men are so worried about our pride getting hurt because somebody might speak on our deficiencies, but we ready. I mean, we stand ready with a whole bazooka to pop somebody else and make them look crazy in front of God and everybody. And look, I'm not going to say that I'm immune to it. I've done it. I'm sure you've done it. I'm sure a lot of the men in this chat whether they paying attention, talking or not, have done it or willing to admit it or not.
We've
have
all
done it.
called the kettle black before.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you know why? Because it's easy to do.
Yeah, it's easy when it's not you.
Look, well, and not even that. It's always easier to recognize deficient characteristics in others that you already see in yourself. It's easy to see because you know what it looks like, and you know what it looks like because it's in you.
For sure.
One of the things my granddaddy said was, "My greatest enemy is the enemy in me." A lot of the times before we even get to the point of brotherly love, you got to get to the point of self-love. I guess that's gonna have to be a pod for later. But in all seriousness,
it's a little separate.
A lot of us have problems with validation. A lot of us have problems with brotherly love. A lot of us have problems with camaraderie because we don't even respect ourselves. At the end of the day, we don't value ourselves. We don't validate our existences as mattering, as meaning anything, right? So as a result, if you don't feel like your personal existence don't mean anything, whether you tell people or not, whether you capping about it or not, you're not going to really see no value in anybody else's life either, I promise you. And the reason being is because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. If you don't love yourself, you can't respect nobody else because you don't respect yourself. Respectability starts in the home. Respectability starts with you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men who mudsling at other men, or rather a lot of males who mudsling at other men, are incredibly insecure. Usually have many deficiencies that they know about but will never express. Usually have a whole grocery list of issues, but you will never hear it out of their mouth.
Facts.
They can tell you about everybody else, though. They can tell you what Tommy doing down the street. They can tell you what this person doing down the street. Look, a lot of the mistakes that I made, just speaking personally, a lot of the mistakes that I made and missteps that I made was because I personally believed that I was too good to fall into those holes because I knew people who did, and I felt like in some ways I was on a higher level than that.
It'll never be me.
Exactly. It can never be me. And as a result, you completely miss the signs. Look, the God is, okay, and she said, the God is within us some more than others. You got to find your inner peace. Yes, you do. Because of the truth. Because one of the biggest things that we have to be aware of is aware of the fact that we are flawed individuals by design and that we are capable of making mistakes, just like everybody else. Yes, Thanks Heaven Later said a lot of people don't say I love you to themselves. So saying it to another person in meaning will definitely be challenging for that individual. Yes, because you don't know what it means.
Look, I had a conversation today. With him, and I was just like, you know, one of the things that I need to do is I need to get my stuff set up for my therapy and stuff because I want to have 3 points of understanding and accountability.
Okay.
The first point, myself. I check myself.
Okay.
The second point, I want it to be, you know, if I have an issue, whoever I have that issue with. The third point, my therapist. If I have a problem, basically, with somebody, I need to do a 3-point assessment. An assessment with myself where I really go back over and reflect, you know, ruminate, sit in what the situation is and dissect it, psychoanalyze it for myself. Right. I also need to make sure I'm being clear and upfront to whomever or whatever I have the issue or confliction with. And lastly, if I can't figure it out by either of those means, because those are the closest to home, the closest to me, then if I'm going to go out of my way, I'm going to talk to the most professional, the most more to likely unbiased person,
a person
possible.
Whose literal job it is to render that.
To assess and, you know, psychoanalyze what's being presented to them.
Yes.
Right? That's going to be my 3-point approach, my triangle approach.
And you know what? There was a thing that I was looking at because I've been watching all these freaking training videos. And one of them was talking about like dealing with, even though it was dealing with trauma in men, I think this still applies, is that when you get in a group and it's you and a bunch of other men, once you start expressing certain things that you feel deficient in, once you start expressing certain things you feel concerned about with yourself, certain things that you struggle with, you might look around, and if everybody's being honest, you might look around and find a few more men who be like, dang, man, you feel that way too? That bugs you too? I be struggling with that too. A lot of the biggest problem with deficiencies and things, and I know we've kind of gotten off topic, but it's still important.
No, it's relative. It's relative.
Look, is that one of the biggest things is realizing you ain't the only person who goes through certain things. We're all human, and then when it concerns men, we are all men. So therefore, by design, there are certain things that we will struggle with if we live in the same society, if we live in the same environment, and we deal with some of the same people. We gonna have certain homogenous experiences,
right? Because a lot of y'all do that.
That.
A lot of y'all do that. You know, if you're a man, you like, well, these women don't understand. Or if you're a woman, you be like, well, men don't understand. Okay. Yeah. Well, have you talked to the other women around you? Have you talked to the other men around you?
Yes.
Like, okay, if you can adopt that you feel the opposite sex don't understand you, well, then why don't you talk to the people that are the same sex as you? And you might find out something that you wasn't privy to before.
Right.
As much as we like to think, like you said, that some of these situations are completely isolated and nobody knows what I'm going through. My situation is so unique.
Yeah.
A lot of us go through similar symptoms of the same bullshit.
Look, everybody thinks that their situation is novel. Yes. Your situation is unique. Just like everybody else's. I mean, like, for real though. But for real. A lot of it, because if you look, the statistics don't lie.
Yeah, there's data points, y'all.
Struggle with the same things.
Look up the data. Whenever y'all get mad and get in your feelings about, oh, well, that's not everybody. Remember, we did a podcast, Callback. Yeah. The generalization versus the exception to the rule. Right. Remember, like I was explaining the other day to someone, those are two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. Y'all essentially are both arguing that something happens to somebody to some degree. Y'all don't disprove each other at all.
No.
What it might behoove you to do is to actually take the time, do some research, and learn you some shit about you and others that are similar to you. Since we love comparison in this day and age that we live in, compare yourself to people who are more on a 1-to-1 ratio to you instead of completely people who are in completely different universes than you.
Right. And that's above and below, because sometimes that's the issue. We either be like, well, dang, I can never be like him, or we're like, well, at least I ain't that guy. But the truth of the matter is, this is the reason why introspection is dangerous. Introspection is not always healthy, because it's you communing with yourself. And it's not that there's anything wrong with you communing with yourself, but that should not be your end all be all when it comes to making decisions about a personal analysis.
That's why I gotta have my 3-point, bro.
I like that. Look, you never finish a self-analysis with yourself.
Yeah, I got me figured all the way out.
Yeah, according to you.
Right.
According to you. According to everybody else, you might be a nutcase. There's lots of serial killers who think that they got it all figured out too. Right. There's lots of rapists and abusers who think that they got it all figured out. In fact, abusers are one of the ones who come through the most confident. They'll give you a whole entire narrative on how, if you let them sit and talk, they will give you a whole entire narrative on how they have done nothing wrong. They were forced into the situation of engaging in abuse, and there's something that they had to do, and it was the other person's fault. How many times have we heard that narrative amongst men? And I know there's some who's probably gonna be like, well, what about the ladies? We ain't talking about the ladies.
We're not talking about them.
We're talking about us, and this is the truth. How many times have we been like, well, yeah, I did that, but it was because of this, or if you hadn't said this, or if you hadn't, and that's part of the reason why the brotherhood don't stick. Bruh. Because everybody's victim shame. Yeah, everybody's playing the blame game. Look, nobody's wrong, but a whole lot of wrong stuff is going on within the same circle. But nobody's wrong.
The results are still the same.
Yes.
And let me just say this: whether you adhere to the social constructs or not, we live in a reality that exemplifies them. So with that being said, A lot of y'all men out here talking about y'all want to be providers, y'all want to lead the household, y'all want to do all this typically man stuff.
Yep.
You need to lead by example. You need to actually produce results for somebody to look at you and be like, oh, damn, you really is the man.
Because
and succeed to that, because somebody does have to succeed to whomever the boss, leader, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
So if you want that, be that.
Yes.
Be that.
The simple fact is, and that even goes back to the ladies. If you wondering why you can't deal with because some of these men don't deal with strong-willed women for this exact reason, because they don't submit to me. Here's the thing. No queen is going to submit to a weak king. No subject submits to a weak king. You know what happens to weak kings in history? They get overthrown and get replaced with somebody else. Always remember that. Because here's the thing. Some men really do think that they're a king by definition or by
birthright. Bro.
Yes, by design. You are not.
No.
The simple fact is, if you want to be the leader of your household, you want to be the leader of your friend group, you want to be the leader at your job or anything, you need to exhibit leadership characteristics, and that's just not being bossy.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get being a leader confused with being bossy, because the truth of the matter is most good leaders are not bossy. Most good leaders are initiative takers.
They don't micromanage.
No. And in fact,
they don't have to.
And they definitely won't put somebody in a situation that they would not want to be in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The biggest thing is, and I know I'm saying a lot of psych and social work terms, but one of the biggest things you want to do, if you want to be a leader, amongst your bros, amongst your community, you know what you do? It's called behavior modeling. You model the behavior you want them to take on. Yeah. And they will recognize and give them a visual example of why it works. Give them a visual example of why this is good behavior to, enact. You can't just always just be talking and being like, yo, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. Because I'm gonna say it, there's tons of niggas out here telling everybody what they need to do. Okay. There's always somebody in your ear telling you what you need to do, male or female. Don't even matter.
You know what I call that?
But there's not too many showing you why you do.
I call that delegation without dedication.
I swear you have a phrase for everything.
That's delegation without dedication. Some of y'all got the best ideas.
Oh yeah.
But y'all ain't got no proof of concept.
And you
should have did this. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been. What do you have that shows the result of your behavior?
Or rather, they have all the ideas in the world, but they have no initiative in enacting it in their own lives.
Literally. Literally.
Because here's one thing that I do have to say. Because I know a lot of people, especially men, do have issues when it comes to the psychological world. Okay? I already know. You do realize we're the first ones. We read those books way before you do, right? We have to look through that stuff before you do. And a lot of the things that I've had to do in looking and going through training and looking at these videos and listening to different aspects about certain things, I had to start examining myself. I had to start looking at myself being like, do I display some of these characteristics? Have I been acting in this way? I had to ask those questions. You know what I mean? I had to be like, man, there was a moment I caught myself. I got mad. I got into a disagreement. Wasn't even really deep. I was just stressed out at the time. And I caught myself. I got mad and I slammed the door. And I realized what I did at that moment, but I really realized it the next day when I just so happened to be watching a video talking about domestic violence and what is called the cycle of abuse. Do you know what's on that cycle of abuse? But way before it starts with swinging and throwing bows, the initial is yelling. The next initial is throwing stuff or hitting things or making loud noises, slamming doors, things of that nature. And then the next step is breaking stuff. Then the next step is actual abuse and violence. You're doing that to establish a position of power that you don't believe you have. And yes, I had to get back and I had to check myself. I was like, hold up.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Look, let me run it back. I'm like, hold up. Oh, snap. I almost went into a cycle. And that's not to say that I would just become an abuser. It's not a slippery slope like that. But it is something that needs to be checked before it can become something like that.
Yeah, y'all don't understate microaggressions.
No.
Don't do that.
And never assume that you are above submitting to any of those microaggressions.
No, and that's why overall in general,
right?
You know, because we ain't gonna keep y'all too late.
No.
But that's why I think a good way to round this out is therapy, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, especially men.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I keep highlighting this study. It was I read it from Reuters, and I think it was coming. I think it might have been backed by some census data. I don't know. Y'all fact check me because I'm not putting the sources in there. All you got to do is do a quick Google search. You'll see a bunch of articles bring it up. About 63% of the Black diaspora doesn't really believe in what is mental health and therapy and kind of just thinks that's a thing for white people. Like, no bullshit. And I didn't paraphrase what I just said.
No.
So the reason why this matters is because a lot of y'all, as it relates to men, because that's who we talking about, we have a lot of shit that we go through. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. A core element, in my opinion, and I think most men would agree, when it comes to being a man, is being honest.
Yes.
So liars, I got no sympathy for y'all. I don't really even respect you as men. Habitual liars, because everybody lies.
Right.
Habitual liars, get the fuck out. Right. Let me tell you something. This is where I hold men accountable in general. We have not been honest enough in general with women, to the point that we've created a monster that has convinced women that we don't go through shit.
Right.
To the point that they actually think that the scales are so much more uneven comparative to them. Right. Y'all got women out here because many of y'all are liars and abusers in general. Y'all got women out here thinking we don't go through shit. We don't feel shit. We just robots and shit. And when many of y'all cry at night, many of y'all are heartbroken. Many of y'all didn't grow up without y'all fathers.
Right.
Many of y'all feel like bums. Feel like failures, feel useless to society.
Yep. And instead of dealing with that actual issue, instead of dealing with those feelings and that stimuli, you internalize it and then turn it on the next person that you run into, usually a significant other or a child or somebody who you're close with, like your bros. You will sit there and turn that on them. I've been in situations where somebody's done that. I've done that to somebody. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Oh, you talking that gospel now." But Thanks Heaven Later said, "I got into therapy starting last year. The best thing I ever did for myself. Truly wish I got into it earlier than I did."
Man, look, I'm glad, bro. You ahead of me.
Look, hey,
and I love it.
You ahead of me too.
And I love it.
But you know what? The truth of the matter is, one thing that you have to have, and I think I spoke about this in another stream, is you need to have somebody, even if you ain't gonna go the therapy route, have somebody around you in your friend circle that is very unbiased about how they will evaluate you and who will tell you about yourself if it's needed. Not because they want to, not because they want to hurt your feelings. You don't need that. You got enough enemies. All of us got enough enemies. Have somebody who, if called upon, if you give them your self facts, I guess we'll call it, and your man facts, and you tell them, okay, you lay it out on the table and be like, okay, what do I look like based on this? That they will unquestionably tell you the truth.
Yeah, and if you have to, because
even if it hurts,
many of us do have discernment issues. So a way to add to that, right? Give out hypothetical situations or unidentifying situations, and just ask that person what their general view, opinion, judgment of such a situation is, and that'll tell you a lot when they don't know the particulars.
Because then they're not holding it by the same standard. Let's see. Black women are the best at that, at least in my opinion. Some of my most honest friends are black women. Bro, who you telling?
I don't really have. I can't relate.
I'm gonna tell the truth just because I can relate to that. I will say there have been several times where I have been in the wrong. I've been all the way out of pocket, all the way in left field, and it took a black woman to get me right. And it wasn't somebody I was in a relationship with. It was somebody I was friends with who was watching it. And like I said, I presented the situation. I told them, okay, I did this, and this. What do you think? You know, sometimes in some cases it was my own grandmother. You know what I mean? And she hit me with the truth. She hit me with the straight analysis of, hey, this is where you messed up at. This is what you shouldn't have did. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to look at. But at the end of the day, she always left it up to me to do it. She never tried to force me to be like, you have to be this way. You have to do that. No, she's like, it's up to you to change what you need to change. But I can only tell you what you need to do. And she always hit me with that.
This is what I would say as a regret relates to that, because I can't relate in the sense of I can't really say that my experiences with black women as my friends have led to that. So I can relate to it in a different way.
Okay.
In them not being my friends, but family.
Okay.
And because we're talking about where it starts at, let's talk about in the home for a second. If you out here raising kids, I hope you're able to put yourself in a situation, if it works for you, where you have a healthy 2-parent household where there's male and female representation. Because I'm telling y'all now, if y'all don't believe, both men and women, if y'all don't believe we've been affected by either poor parenting or lack of parental guidance, period, especially within the black community, you are smoking work. And I promise you
is. And one of the biggest things is, even if you are in a 2-parent household where it is you and your lady, you know, and vice versa, one of the biggest things is also establishing what your respective roles are.
Yes.
Where you stand, so that way you can operate as a unit. Because the simple fact is, and it's nothing, look, there are no right answers to this. But you got to understand where you stand. You got to understand where she stands.
Hey.
If you're the disciplinarian and she's the nurturer, okay, you need to know that.
Or vice versa.
And sometimes it is vice versa.
As The Rock would say, know your role and shut your mouth. Listen.
But but you know the reason why, because kids will do what am I always have to tell me? I can't remember. But look, we all did this. Look, you ask your mama something, and then they be like, ask your daddy. Look, or they told you no.
Yeah. Well, dad said.
Look, and then you go to the daddy and you say, and you be like, well, daddy, I want to do this. Like, well, what your mama say?
Look.
Well, she said to ask you.
And look.
Now, but if you on the same standpoint, if you on the same level, you know, if it's gonna be no, it's gonna be no from both of y'all. If it's gonna be yes, it's gonna be yes from both of y'all.
Bruh, look. And you learn that in management. That's one thing I've learned in management too.
Hold up. Man said, I agree. Women in your family can do it as well. I knew I had to change when I explained myself to my mom once, and my own mother called me a whore. Life gets no more uncut than that. Also, Mom Dukes was 100% right at the time too.
Man.
Dog.
Man.
I'm not trying to laugh at you.
But yeah, we learned that in management.
Bruh,
we learned that in management. Like,
I could definitely see somebody mama doing that.
You have to be on one accord. And the beauty in that is that's an environment where you're not necessarily related to who the other managers are. Right. So like if one person, you know, it's hierarchies.
Right.
Okay? There's a power structure. In all forms of civilization exists some form of power structure where there's someone at the top, so to speak, and someone at the bottom. And the bottom isn't always like the lowest position on the totem pole. It just depends on whatever the structure is behind the hierarchy system itself. So just like when you look at a household, you know, even in a provider-nurturer dynamic, neither of those titles are beneath. And we got to start teaching that shit too. Because a lot of, submission has been ruined. The term has been ruined so bad that you have some women that don't want to be the nurturer because they feel like that puts them in a point of subservience. And they're labeled, and it's being called submission because some of you dudes, not men, dudes out here are being not only unrealistic, but problematic in what it is that you're asking for and requiring. In a good, wholesome household, I personally believe that the male provides and the woman nurtures. I don't see those as, 1 and 2. I see those as 1 to 1. They're different, but they're both important. I typically view life and relationships as chess. If anybody knows chess, y'all know how it goes. If you don't, I'm going to give you the basics. The basics are pretty simple. The game is decided primarily, because there's other factors, but there's one primary factor that trumps them all. The game is decided by your ability to prevent the king from being able to move. It's called a checkmate when it's any other piece. Yes, otherwise, it can be called a stalemate if it's just 2 pieces or it comes to a draw.
Right.
With that, the king can only move 1 spot at a time, but the game is decided by him. However, the most versatile, the most powerful piece on that motherfucking chessboard is the queen. She can move in any direction, however she please. Can't no other piece match her for that.
Right.
She does a different thing, though, than what the king does. Yes. But they are both crucial to the game. Yes. You know some shit about to go down if somebody captures your queen.
And look, here's the biggest thing about that. You know what they used to say? I used to hear this as a retort to when they would say, well, the man is the head of the household. It's like, yeah, the man may be the head, but the woman is the neck, and you don't go nowhere without it. You can't turn.
They both important, but they're different.
Right.
And we need to respect the differences. So as it relates to men, watch your circle. Regulate your circle of friends.
Yes, sir.
If they ain't the type of men that's uplifting you or challenging you to be better, you need to get the fuck on from them.
And if they are the type of men that's going to always look at you a certain way whenever you doing really good,
get the fuck away from them too.
But at the same token, always got something good to say about themselves. But at the same token, always want to be a shoulder for you to lean on when you're struggling. You need to move on, find another shoulder.
Facts.
That's a broke shoulder, dog.
You want to have some real good friends? Get you some friends that are doing better than you at the things that you want to do in life.
And get you some friends that's going to gas you up anyway when you start doing all right.
Right.
Even though you may not be on their level.
You damn near need role models as friends.
Yeah. Look.
Have some men around you that's going to make you want to be better.
Have some men around you. We going back and forth. Have some men around you that because they know you and they know what your deficiencies are and what things you struggle with, when you come back with that small victory that took your all to get, they ready being like, yeah, bro, that's right. Look, I had a friend like that in my old job. He's an older man, and he was such a nice guy. Dude was nice to a fault. And he was just one of them type people. Wasn't nothing necessarily wrong with him. He just didn't know how to say no. He just was not good at saying no because he used to be a manager. So he understood how it was. So he always wanted to do more and help out. And so he would take shifts that didn't make sense. This man was working full-time hours and was still part-time for 5, 6, 7 months before they even made him full-time. And even then they were still doing it. This man came up to me one morning and he looked me in the face. And the only thing he said was, I told him no, man. Bro, do you not realize I smile like a proud parent? Look, this man is 20 years older than me, right? Is married, got the house, the car, and all that, living the life, but this is something he specifically struggles with. And most people will probably be like, okay, you said no, good for you. No. I'm like, hey, that's what's up, man. You know why? Because I know that's something he struggled with. I know that's something that took a lot out of him to do. Because that's something that it isn't in him to do because he ain't that type of man. You know what I mean? He is the type of person who is a helper. And for all of us who are people who help out, because even I've struggled with that, it's hard to say no. No be the hardest word in the English language to say in that case. So yeah, I'm gonna gas him up because he said no. You know what I mean? And that don't make me any less of a man, and that don't make him any less of a man.
Facts.
It just means that I recognize something that somebody I'm cool with struggles with, and I'm going to validate him for fighting against that and winning a small victory. Because you know what those small victories build up to? Eventual overcoming. It takes small and big victories that win a war. Because every loss is still counted. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's big or small. That's just like, look, that's just like, I'm going to tell him a little bit about your life. If this man wake up one day, he hit me up and be like, hey, man, I'm going to driving school. Bro, you not realize I'm going to give you a whole standing ovation over the phone. A whole standing ovation over the phone, dog.
Hey, for the record, add a little bit more context.
Full on.
I absolutely despise driving. I'm going to be one of the few people that you may come across that like, and some of y'all going to be like, oh, I hate driving too. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Not like him.
Not the way that I do. Not the way that I do.
Even though we just said something.
I would have I'm getting a Tesla. I definitely am getting a Tesla eventually. No time soon.
Yeah, no.
But I'm not. Nah, I cannot stand driving with a burning passion.
And that's what I mean. So if you
them damn rolling robots can kiss my ass.
Look, so if you
I need Optimus Prime if I'm gonna drive.
No, I'm weak.
Autobots, roll out.
Yes. But look, so if this man hit me up and go like, bro, I just started driving school. Especially if he say, bro, I got behind the wheel and I made it a whole block. I ain't tweaked. I ain't had no issue.
Mind you, I've driven before. I know how to drive, but I don't do it often because I fucking hate it.
Right. So if this man tell me he drove from like his house to work, I'm be gassed up. The first day that you drive from your house to work,
I'm killing a bunch of people on the way.
I'm going to gas you up the whole entire time.
I'm killing a bunch of people on the way. Not because I can't drive, but because y'all done already pissed me off. I had road rage as soon as I fucking turned the key.
Look. Oh, well, you in pleasant company with that. We all have road rage. I don't miss that part. Look, my job involves a lot of driving, and yeah, I see a lot of really stupid people on the road. So yeah.
But you missed what I said when I turned the key. Not when somebody cuts. No.
Oh, that's just expectation. That's just expectation. Bro.
I don't need to get into any type of accident. I don't need to get in any type of accident. I don't need nobody to cut me off. It's just the fact that I am breathing in a car. Period.
Sir, I understand though. I do understand. But we're gonna go ahead and end this off because it's about to be 9 o'clock. But I guess what we're in with is just the simple fact of always first off, learn to love and value yourself. Secondly, learn to carry that value. Learn that your brothers are due that same value and that same love and respect. Be discerning on who you claim as your brothers and who you keep around you as your circle. And then once you do that, be very decisive and very intent and very intentional about the way you show them love and about the way that you show them the respect that you are owed. Not in the hopes that you receive the same, because there shouldn't be no hope there. It should be an expectation. It should be an expectation because it's reciprocation. All right? And if them boxes ain't checked, go back and check yourself. Start from the beginning and move on forward until you get through the whole cycle. There ain't nothing wrong with starting back over. There ain't nothing wrong with re-examining. There ain't nothing wrong with admitting that you were wrong about something. Deficiencies are temporary. All right? Even Mr. Driving road rage over here. You ain't gonna turn into the Hulk forever. I
don't think it's easier.
I believe in you.
But there's more to the equation, but that's for a whole different conversation.
Look, brother, I believe in you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Nah, but for real though, man, be willing to gas your homies up, man.
You got to, man. You got to.
Be willing to gas your homies up, bro.
Let them know they're doing a good job. Remember, y'all, a lot of us came from single-parent households. So for some of us, especially as men, we never even had a positive role model to begin again with it.
And sometimes a lot of us came from households where that good job wasn't given out freely. Even if you had a male role model,
He could have been an abuser.
Look, he may have been an abuser, or he might have just been a stern man who struggled with the same insecurities that we got.
A broken man trying to raise another man.
Look, which means he may have came from a household that also didn't reciprocate that sort of behavior and also never gave out that good job no matter how hard he worked. So for him, he may have felt like nothing was ever enough. And so now he looking at you like nothing's ever enough. It's a cycle. Be aware of what you pass down to other men. You know what I'm saying? We give birth to our own communities of men, the same way that women give birth to their own communities of women. We create what the future is. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting too deep. Y'all ain't gonna see. This is why y'all don't be listening to the podcast. We getting too deep. but
we ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer though. For real.
Most definitely.
Because I think we've said a lot.
Yeah.
We ain't done as far as the subject matter, because there will be more conversations coming for both men and women. Because eventually we want to get to a point. Spoiler alert, where we talk about men and women together.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do that, we gotta talk about us first. And then we're going to get some women on to talk about the women.
Yeah, because we're
going to listen in that conversation.
Yeah, look.
So shout out to the women that are in this one listening to us and not really contributing. And as far as in the comment section, we appreciate y'all being an open ear.
Mm-hmm.
We need this because I think too much of the problem is there's not enough men holding men accountable and women holding women accountable. Once we establish that part, then we can probably come together and have a more sensible conversation with each other.
Mm-hmm. Look, in all seriousness, like, look, we're not about to sit here and, like, with the ladies, look, just like how the ladies took the time to let us hash our stuff out, we're not about to be sitting in the back, well, I personally think, I believe that this is just, no. We're going to be intentional about letting them get their discussions out, speaking their truth, asking questions if we want to understand it, but we're not there to judge. Same way that we wouldn't expect them to be there to judge for us. We hold everybody by the same standard. But this has been the Black in a Minute live stream because the podcast is coming tomorrow. So please do tune into the podcast. We need them numbers so we can make this moolah. And if you ain't got time to listen to the podcast, you can always give us some donations.
Facts.
We got PayPal, Cash App. I'll fix up a Venmo if you got it, dog. I will figure it out.
Yeah, some people do be having Venmo. Anytime I hear Venmo, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like,
it exists.
What's a Venmo? I know what it is, but every time it's just
even if you got Zelle, I don't know if you got Zelle. Or I don't got Zelle.
I don't either,
but Zelle. Okay. And eventually we are going to, formulate a bank account so that way, if you need to write a check, you can write a check. So I'm just saying, look, it takes more than grace, mercy, and validation to get some of this stuff done. All right, we want to make this space look pretty. I mean, that's cool, but we want to make it look prettier and look nicer. So we gonna need them donations. We do love y'all, brothers and sisters. All right, let me stop pandering. This has been the Black in a Minute podcast live stream. Thank you for your appreciation, your participation, and your consideration of the things that we have to say every lovely evening on Thursday. We hope to see you next week. Bring a friend, bring your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, and your cousins. So long as they can speak the English language and they understand what's going on. You can bring the babies too. Just don't let them type in the comments. But yeah, we love y'all. Peace out.
Power.
You.